When I started my path, I had the idea that everything needed to be perfect. I wanted to do every right choice I could make during the day. And if this did not happen, what a surprise, did never happen. I just thought, okay, I will start the next day, and I wasted the rest of the day not doing the things I told myself I would do. The problem is that we as humans have a limited amount of discipline available during the day. And when you try to live a day and your new life out of discipline, you're going to fail because it's not possible to have a full amount of discipline every day. This is why we need to come to habits. When we use habits, things change, so it becomes more hard not to do a thing than to do a thing, because we as humans are norm-based. That means if something stays the same for a quite actually short amount of time, we get used to it, and it becomes more hard not to have the thing we are used to have than to have a thing that's new, even if it feels actually better from an objective perspective. We still do not like changes, and this is why, even if you're in a bad environment, changes that are actually good for you do feel bad in the beginning. But we can use this concept. So we get used to, for example, hard things, and then it's even harder for us after we cultivated the habit to not do the habit than to do like the thing that's actually more easy for the rest of people. When it comes to habits, we can use what James Clear said. You should focus on systems and not on goals. This means if you have a specific goal, for example, you want to lose weight, you should try to build habits, the system that makes it possible for you to achieve your goal. But you should not focus primarily on your goal, rather than focus on the process that gets you towards that goal. Because if you just focus on that process day to day, the results will come automatically, and you will not get overwhelmed because you see the whole mountain in front of yourself. If you cultivated a habit, you also have to be careful not to fall off it, because if you do not do the habit for 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, suddenly you will lose the good habit, and then you actually need to put in that hard work again to establish the already cultivated habit once again, which is pretty poor. So we talk about habits, but how do we actually start beginning a new habit? Because you already know everything in your mind. You already know what you need to do, but why don't you perform? You need to start, as I always say, with the things that suits best to you, but also work. That means do not follow blindly a tip that somebody gives you towards your goal, but rather figure out how can you make the process that it is fun for you and you can do it every day. Because if you focus on one thing and then make the process so that you love it and you focus on the process, then you will just build a habit pretty fast. You can also use a reward system to make the process more enjoyable for you. For example, you want to lose weight, so if you have a clean week where you just followed your meal plan, for example, you can say, okay, on Sunday evening, I will go eat a pizza. And you will still lose weight because you followed your plan during the week, but you make the process more enjoyable for you. What I often talk about is identity. Because if the habit becomes part of your identity, then it will be no problem for you to achieve your goals because you do not think about alternatives. Let me make it pretty concrete for you. For example, you have the goal to run a marathon in 5 months. Then you should make it part of your identity that you are running. Otherwise, it will be pretty hard to have fun pursuing that goal. So, your identity needs to be I am a runner, I like running. And then you are excited to go for a run every day because this is part of your identity. Or you want to become pretty ripped in the gym. Then you should make it part of your identity to go to the gym. And then you will look forward going to the gym. This is what I mean when I talk about using identity to cultivate habits. What is helping many people is to have an accountability partner. For example, a friend you call in the evening and you tell him about how the day went and if you did the things you plan to do in the morning. To be honest, for me, myself, this does not really work too good because the person I'm most accountable for is myself, which I'm pretty grateful for. And this also puts me in the position that I am pretty hard towards myself, but this allows me to be harsh on other people as well, and I expect much of other people because I can expect much of myself, which in my world is a positive one because it boosts my confidence because I think, okay, I'm the greatest because I do all those things. In my worldview, it's actually that you can make almost everything fun and work if you have the right mindset, because what I see often is when people talk about their goals, the problem that these people have is that they have a goal, but they are not identifying themselves so hard with the goal that short gratification becomes unattractive. For example, there's a person and this person says, I want to get a six-pack. But the actual thing is, this person does not really want the six-pack. Yeah, of course, in the person's imagination, it's like, okay, it would be cool to have a six-pack. Girls like me. It's cool. I get like respect from other people, other men. But the person is not ready to cut. He's not ready to go to the gym. He's not ready to track his calories. And that's what I actually mean. If you identify yourself so hard with this goal, you will love the process because you dream of the goal every day. But if it's just a superficial goal, you're thinking like, okay, it would be nice to have, then you will never achieve that goal. And that's the thing. You need to identify so hard with this goal that the process just becomes fun and you get to flourish. If you struggle overall to have motivation, that means you're watching this video and you're kind of wanting to change something, but it's very hard for you, then I suggest you to do a full dopamine detox because we are just so, because of our phones, that our dopamine is so. And to cure that and to gain more motivation, I suggest you to do the dopamine detox because then things that are now hard for you will become pleasant because you have something to do. When you sat in your room for a couple of days and basically did nothing, then it will be cool going to the gym. It will be nice working hard. And that's the thing. Earlier generations were way more used to do hard work because they were not so overfilled with instant gratification, mostly from our phones. In this process of building habits, it will inevitably come to the point where you will have to handle negative emotions. And because of that, you need to understand that emotions are just sensations in our body, which are neither good nor bad for itself. That means learn to listen in the first place to your emotions, because so many people are not aware of their emotions. They are just in their mind and they're separated from their feelings because they're not focusing on them. They're just pushing them away. So try and start recognizing your feelings, but also do not overrate them. Just accept them and feel them. And if you want to, think about where they come from and why they are there. but do not be reactive and instantly react to a bad emotion. For example, you feel fear and you instantly start questioning yourself, or am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Is this really working for me? And this is what I mean. Just feel the emotion, and it's okay to question, hey, why is it there? But don't instantly act on a bad emotion, because then it will be pretty hard building those habits. And what is also such a beautiful thing about this is when you start embracing your emotions, all of your emotions, see them as a godly gift and embracing them, you will start getting to know yourself better, because you will recognize that certain feelings correlate to certain situations. So you get to know how you react to those situations, and you can know how you will probably react. This is such a wonderful thing and such insightful things you get to know about yourself, which is just part of this beautiful process. If everything falls apart and you're struggling and failing on your habit, then I have 2 exit tips for you can do. The first one is, if everything crashes, you can try to use a good outlet rather than a bad one. For example, a classic problem is that, for example, you're cutting weight and suddenly you overdid it and you're in such a bad mood that you start binge eating and you can't stop holding back. Then, for example, what you can do, again, my number 1 tip is to figure out what suits best for you. There's no one size fits all solution. You find something that's kind of neutral and not harming your goal, but still regulates your emotion, because what the binge eating does, it regulates your emotion. And what you can do instead is, for example, listening to music. This also gives you good vibes, but it does not encounter your goal of losing weight, but it rather is neutral towards your goal, losing weight, but you still get yourself in a good mood and you will get over the critical phase when it gets pretty hard. The second thing that you can do is you can focus on micro steps. And with this, I really mean really little tiny micro steps. For example, you're cutting weight, my typical example for this video, and it's so tough. You're just thinking, oh, I can't do it anymore. Just focus on the next tiny micro step. For example, focus on the next second where you are not eating something. Focus on the next second where you are distracting yourself with reading a book, for example, so you do not feel that hunger. Or you just focus on, okay, I'm going to drink a bottle of water now, so my stomach gets filled. So you're not looking at the next 1 hour. You're not looking at what things to do next. You're just focusing on one micro step. And by this, you will get in a way better mood, because you're not, again, seeing the whole mountain in front of you, but you're just in the process, in the moment, and every moment for itself is endurable. It just gets hard if you see all the moments to endure and they cumulate and form this big mountain.